Alright. The Abomination. Now, when it comes to undead play, what do we see the most, right? We see Destroyers, we see Fiends, we see Statues. Those seem to be your A, your S tier units, right? Don't see too many Abominations. They're around. They have Cannibalize. They have Disease Cloud. Normal damage, heavy armor, very tanky. But you rarely see them. I feel they get a B. They get a B. Now the Acolyte. In terms of workers, it's one of the best. I'll tell you who's a D tier right away. We can just get this one out of the way. Where is he? You guys already know what I'm about to select. Where is the damn guy? Are these in alphabetical order? Oh, they are. There he is. If there was an F, I would give the Peasant an F. But the lowest possible score goes to the Peasant. Alright, Acolyte now. So, what can Acolytes do? They're actually decently beefy, right? They're pretty fast. They could summon buildings. They could be converted into shades. That's pretty good, huh? Actually, I want to put this over this background. Just so you could see the whole thing. But let me do this. Because we don't need to see the edge here. Oh my god, what is going on? So let me just fix this up a little bit. We don't need to see any of this stuff. And we'll make this bigger. Just like this. Alright. It looks sloppy. It's not the best, but it's going to be maximum viewage, right? Alright. Acolyte. They summon buildings. They're pretty... they could kill critters, I think, in one shot. I don't think peasants can do that. So they're automatically ranked above a peasant. Automatically. I'm going to give them... a... in terms of units, they're probably a C, right? Let's do the heroes last. Let's do the units first, and we'll do the heroes after. Archer. Now, archers, early game, very strong. And they even can scale into late game. They ride hippogriffs. They get improved bows. They get marksmanship. Very strong. They have a Loon's Grace. They take less damage from spells. They're pretty fast. They have Shadow Meld. I'd say they're a B tier unit. They're a B tier unit. Banshees. Banshees. How many games of mine have gotten destroyed by the presence of Banshees? All too many. They have Possession, Curse, Anti-Magic Shell. I'd say they're an A tier caster. Capable of turning the game around in an instant, like that. Capable of turning the entire game around in the late game. Curse ain't bad. Anti-Magic Shell, very potent. Possession is ridiculous. If you do it right, it is ridiculous. A tier. Now, I believe this is a Berserker. Or is this a Berserker? If I mouse over it, will it tell me? I think this is Berserker? I don't know what this is. I'm not sure what this troll is here, but we're going to go with Berserker. First one's a Bat Rider. Ah, Bat Rider, thank you. Okay. Bat Riders. Now, these are kind of niche. They're built and trained and exist to lame. Like the entire orc race, right? The entire orc race's existence is based on laming, hit and running. Just aggroing your opponent, forcing them to reposition. Constantly having map control with with speed. Bat Riders. I will give Bat Riders a C. They're pretty niche. They're good at laming. They're good at obliterating air. But outside of that, they're pretty niche. I give them a C. This is the ultimate tier list. We're going down the ranks. We're ranking all the units, all the heroes for the ultimate tier list of tier lists. Berserker. Troll Berserker. Now, the Troll Berserker is the unit that catches you by surprise in the mid-game. As a human, you think you're coming back. You're finally getting some momentum over the Headhunters. Finally. Right? It's been all early game. You've been getting harassed endlessly by the Farseer, by the Headhunters, by the Wolves. All game. And you're finally starting to make some momentum. Finally. And then all of a sudden, they morph into Berserkers. And the Orc has the control of the game once again. It's crazy. So with that, I get the Berserkers. And they have Berserk too. They don't scale too well into the late game. I think they're in between an A and a B. I'm not quite sure which. I'm gonna put them on an A for now, but they may fall down to a B. Acolyte, I kind of ranked it against other workers, not necessarily against. So they're kind of ranked against their class. But maybe you know, it's the best worker, so I'll put it in D. Over a peasant, right? Currently. Chimeras. Now, Chimera's pretty easily counterable if you see him coming, right? If you scout the Chimera roosts, you know only one unit's coming out of them. You have to invest heavily into them. But if you can get a good mass of them, they're incredibly deadly. But because they're so easily counterable and so expensive, I feel like I got to give him a C. In 1v1, you rarely see him. You see him every once in a while. But they're so, like, so much investment. So much, like, you have to invest so much to get them. And if they're scouted, they're easily countered, right? So I feel like they're a C. Now, Crypt Fiends. Do I even need to explain? They're the best range unit in the game. It's not even close. They have web. They have burrow. They go from tier 1 all the way to tier 3. In the top, the bottom, any place on the ELO, MMR charts, you don't find an undead game without Crypt Fiends. If you do, it's like some cheeky Dreadlord, Mascools, some crazy stuff, right? Crypt Fiends is not even a discussion. S tier. Now, the Demolisher. And we're doing heroes last. Icing on the cake. We're doing heroes last. Demolisher. The Demolisher. Barely ever see the Demolisher. In very rare cases against mass casters, maybe you see him. Rarely see it. I'd say it has to be a C tier unit. In terms of siege, it's not great. The burning oil, the fire upgrade, nothing to ride home about. They're slow, easily killable, cost a ton. I'd say a C at best. Destroyer. I mean, again, is there any discussion here? Destroyer. You have Devour. You can be morphed out of a statue that's at low health and then death coiled immediately. Orb of Annihilation destroys heavy armor units. Tauren, Knights, A-bombs get melted by destroyers. A great counter to casters, to summon units. And with that, I think it's clear the Destroyer is an incredible unit. S tier unit. And I don't think it's even close. And you're going to see a theme here, right? You're going to see a theme. Dryad. Dryad, very powerful unit. Seen very frequently in Night Elf matchups alongside Bears. They have the Envenom Spears. They got the Dispel. They only cost 3 food. I'd say Dryads are borderline S tier, high A tier units. They're credible. Very powerful. Very versatile. Able to handle a variety of unit compositions. It's hard to find a scenario in which Dryads aren't trained in a matchup when you're Night Elf. It's hard to find one. And we missed one, actually. Dragonhawk Rider. Dragonhawks on the humans. What do the Dragonhawks have? They got magic ability. Magic attacks. They got Cloud, Aerial Shackles. Pretty good. Rarely used. They are used as some counters to heavy air presence. Heavy towers. I feel like they're better than Bat Riders. So they're at least a high C or a low B. Cloud's pretty effective. Aerial Shackles, pretty effective. Because of their low usage, I think they go high C or low B. I'm gonna start with low C. I'm gonna start there. I'm gonna start there and see how I feel about it after a little bit. Druid of the Claw. Bears. I think these are a great unit. They're very tanky. They're probably one of the better Bs. You know, you have Roar. You have Rejuve. Obviously bear form. They can be very clunky, though. Like, very, very clunky. So you have to be careful. Why is this... My gain is, like, through the roof right now. See, I don't think it's the bears that are S tier. I think it's the combination with the Dryads that make them S tier, right? It's the fact that the Dryads can zone you and slow you down that makes them S tier. Makes them feel S tier. But in a vacuum, on their own, they're probably just one of the better heavy armor units. But they do have spells, so I could see them being in the A column. But at the moment, I'm feeling top tier B, low tier A. At the moment. That opinion could change. It could change. This chart is fluid, right? At any time, something could appear where? It could appear at D and reappear at A. And my cat is going to attack the mouse pointer. I got to move him real quick. Come here, buddy. Say hi. Alright, you can sit on my lap. You can stay on my lap, alright? So we're going to put Bears high B for right now. High B. They're a great unit. Better than A-bombs. And they might even be low A. Still figuring that out. Druid of the Talon. Druid of the Talon. What's next to the Banshee? That is a Berserker. That is a Berserker. Alright. Druid of the Talon. Used to be the meta for a while for Night Elf. Used to be the meta. Capable of disrupting entire armies with Cyclone. Fairy Fire's not bad. Crow form. Good for escaping. I'd say they're B tier. Right next to their archer friends. I'd say they're B tier. They could be countered. If you have a lot of Dispel, they could be countered. B tier. Fairy Dragon. Oh my gosh, the Fairy Dragon. Talk about someone that could turn the tide of a battle. Just, again, similar story to the Orc. You think you're ahead. You're finally getting some momentum over the Night Elf. The Night Elf has... They've been harassing you all early game as a human player, right? You got the Entangle, the Treants, the infinite mana with the Moonwells. And it feels like they get to tier 3 in under 5 minutes. That's what it feels like. Because just as you're pumping Rifleman out, just as your first Sorceress comes out, you get 6 Bears and 8 Dryads at your base. That's how it feels when I'm playing. I know, like, I'm always late on my tech, but I'm like, finally, alright. I pushed the Night Elf back. He's giving me like 2 minutes of breathing room. Now, I'm getting destroyed by 8 bears, 8 dryads, and I have like 2 sorks, 4 rifles, a half health AM, right, and an MK. Now, if by some miracle, as a human player, you manage to take out this army, right? Alright, you're feeling good about yourself. You go to attack the Night Elf base. Now, all of a sudden, not only do they have 8 bears and 8 dryads again, right? Instantly, they're right back up. And their whole army's healed up to full, right? Because all the moon walls. Now there's fairy dragons. Now we have fairy dragons to deal with, right? This whole story's been alluding up to this fairy dragon. And they're gonna destroy your cat. Like you finally got like 4 sorks, 4 priests. You're feeling really good. The tide of the battle's turning, and then these pieces of crap morph into the egg. What is the egg called? Mana Flare? Is that what it is? And then when you try to hit them, they morph out of existence. It's madness. It's absolute madness. But they're rarely used. They're not used that much. They're not as powerful as the Dryad, for example. And now that I look at this, I kind of want to move the bear into A. Because I want to move the fairy dragon into B. Above the A-bomb. Just because of their ability to turn a game around and counter casters so hard. Footman. The worst unit in the game. It's just an XP tome at this rate. It's an XP tome next to their brother, the peasant. It's not even close. I'd say Acolytes might be better than Footman at this point. It's that bad. Defend is useless. It does nothing. It makes you move at 20% move speed. You reflect, what, 1 out of every 5 piercing attacks to you. Every unit can just kite around you all day. They can run circles around you. Terrible. I'd take any other unit instead of a Footman. Acolytes could be a C, honestly. But we'll keep them out of respect. Out of respect for the game, we'll keep them at a D. Frosties. Frostworms. Very rarely seen in solos, but you see them a lot in 4s. They're very strong in group play. I'd say they have to be ranked below. They're like low C. Yeah, they have the freezing breath. They cost so much food, and they're easily countered because you have to invest so much into them. At the end of the day, they're not that very strong. Now, gargoyles. Very strong air unit. I'm going to give them an A. I'm going to give them an A. If you're really good, you can pop the stone form and avoid attacks like the breath of fire and stuff. So if you're really good, you can pull stuff like that off. In masses, they're capable of almost destroying any air presence, as well as ground presence like dryads. So they're really strong there. They're just a strong air unit. And they cost 2 food, right? Low resources. Really strong. I'd say the Garg makes it to A tier. Now, the Ghoul. The Ghoul. I will quote somebody, right? I'm going to quote somebody. You guys might know him. Cairo, right? I'm going to quote Cairo here and explain the Ghoul. So, Cairo was having an epic battle with his old buddy, Dabama Man, Mr. Cairo. And it was Undead versus Orc. Cairo plays Orc. Dabama Man plays Undead. And Cairo's getting frustrated, right? Just how, in his words, overpowered the Undead were. So he decided to play Undead for himself one day, right? He wanted to try him out. He did not know that ghouls return 20 lumber to the town hall, to the necropolis. He went on a tirade in the group chat. A tirade about Not only do Acolytes not even have to stand there and build the buildings, not only is DK Fiend's Lich ridiculous, but the ghouls return 20 lumber back to the necropolis. He was infuriated. He was infuriated. Now, that being said, they're a very weak unit. Very easy to kill. Level 3 Water Elemental just annihilates them. They're not very strong. Yeah, you can get some cheeky stuff off with like a Dreadlord, Ghoul Frenzy type of thing. I'm going to say they're a C tier unit. I'm going to say they're C tier, right above Demolisher. They're not great. They're easy to take care of. A couple Thunderclaps. Even if you want to mass ghouls, you get air. You get Thunderclaps, slows. They're not doing much. But I want to tell that little story about our friend Kyra. So, the Ballista. The Ballista. They got those, they got the ability that makes it kind of chain react to other nearby targets. Not bad. Not bad. Hey, what's going on? Sorry, I can't read your name because of dark mode here. 8Master225, how are you? Welcome. We're doing the ultimate tier list here. Units first. Oh, with some Banjo-Kazooie music in the background. Gotta love it. Alright, so Ballista. The Ballista. You see it in some early game pushes. Not too frequently. Sometimes paired with Huntresses. They're pretty slow. Overall, not great. I'd say they're probably above a Demolisher. But not much more than that. Not much more. The Raider. Now, if Razorman's still here, he would tell you the Raider is probably S tier. Right? He loves to mass those Raiders, chain ensnares. You just stagger those ensnares back to back to back. And you could keep a unit or a collection of units locked down for a long time. Oh, this is Grunt? Sorry. Yep. Never mind. Back that up. Grunt. Looks like a Raider. Grunt. Very strong early game unit. 700 health, I think, to start. And I think gets up to 800. With Berserker upgrade. Very strong unit. Although, they fall off at the mid-late game. They fall off. They are a little slow, but with Speed Scroll, they're pretty strong. They're pretty powerful. I'm going to rate them right up here in the B. High B. Maybe even above a Fairy Dragon. Very strong. What is this thing? It's somewhere between G and H. Hippogriff? Griffin? This might be a Hippogriff. Oh, no, it's not. Is this a Griffin? Because this is Headhunter. Oh, yeah, Griffin. Okay. Griffin. Human. Animal War Training. You got the hammers that give you the chain reaction type of thing. Very strong in masses, but not really seen too frequently in 1v1, but really strong in 4v4. Pretty good air unit. Pretty good air unit. If you get them in masses, they're hard to deal with. And they can focus fire heroes down. Very capable of that. I'm going to give them a high C, low B. Gyro not on the list? Are they really? Flying machines? I guess they're not. That's a shame, because they're actually pretty important in this list. Yeah, they're not. Incomplete list. We'll say at the end, honorable mention. Honorable mention. Alright. Headhunter. Right next to their friend, the Fiends. I mean, do I need to explain the state of the game right now that we're currently in with these units? And the Farseer? Making people tilt with their no skill having, massing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They show up. This is the beginning game for a human. You got your 4 militia. You bring them over to the green camp. You got your archmage. You got your footy scouting their base. You already know what's coming, right? You're running that footy down. You see the Farseer's already on his way, right? He's already on his way. The wolves are summoned. He's coming. You show up at the base. You see the racks. You see the war mill, and you just like take that sigh of defeat. Like you already know the game's over, right? But you're hoping that like by some miracle he botches the micro, right? That the player botches the micro, because that's your only shot, right? That's your only shot at winning the game. And then of course you finish up that green camp. The Farseer is already at your base. He's already chomping away at your arcane tower, trying to get that thing upgraded. You got 9 peasants repairing it. It doesn't matter, right? And then come the headhunters, right? Then come the headhunters. Your defense not even trained yet, right? So the headhunters are just sniping your footmen down. Sniping them down. They're out DPSing your water elemental. They're out DPSing your archmage. They do like 27 damage right out the rip. Alright, defend finishes. You fended off the orc. He ran back, but he didn't really run back. He ran like the middle of the map, and he's coming back. Now he's got 6 headhunters, and only 30 seconds have passed, right? Only 30 seconds have passed, and this headhunter army has now tripled, right? So now you have 6 headhunters to deal with. You have 3 footies with defend. You put defend on. You think it's your last stand. You think you have a shot, and the headhunters just go ring around the rosy around your defend footies. Defend footies don't even touch the headhunters. Headhunters, yeah, they get piercing reflected back. It doesn't matter, because you know what happens? He just runs it back and heal salves it. No big deal, and you have no shot. S tier. It's not even close. Next, Hippogriff. Hippogriff doesn't out DPS a Garg. Heavy air presence of Gargs. Much scarier than the air presence of Hippos. And this doesn't count as the Hippo Rider. I guess they count them as 2 different units here. But Hippos are good. They can be converted. So definitely better than some. But the Hippo in a vacuum is probably here. Probably right there in a vacuum. They're not the most dominant in the air. Gargs will take him down. Gyros probably take him down. And they can't attack ground. Hippo Riders, on the other hand, I'd say these are a B. Maybe above the Druid of the Talon. Right there. They're pretty good. They're fast. They collect those archers. They turn the low B tier archer into a mid B tier Hippogriff Rider. Really strong. A lot of presence in the air. You can mass them. I'd say mid B tier. I don't have any like good stories about Hippogriff Riders. Just leave them at mid tier B. Huntress. Now, I'd say the Huntress is not on the same scale as the Archer. They got unarmored. They're easily dealt with piercing. Couple water elementals. Couple lava spawns. Fiends. Rifles. Headhunters. Deal with these no problem. Rarely see like Huntress pushes anymore. I'd say they're like below a ghoul at this point. They're probably below a ghoul. Not great. Knights. Knights. What are knights good at? Let's talk about what they're good at. They're good at dealing with fiends. They're good at dealing with giants, even though you don't see them so much anymore. And they're not even good at it. They just can deal with MGs. Outside of that, they can't deal with bears. Banshee's not S tier, but they're very high A tier. They're right on the edge. They might as well be. They're right on the edge. But what else is Knight good at? Nothing. They get beat by Night Elf, Bears, and Dryads. They get beat by Headhunters. You don't get them in Orc Mirror. You get them in Human Mirror sometimes to deal with Breakers. And you get them against Fiends. So they're good in Undead matchups. and maybe human matchups. And that's about it. So, when I think about it, A-Bomb's got to move down to, like, here. And Knight, I think, is maybe right below an A-Bomb. And maybe even C tier. Maybe. Kodo Beast. Kodos are big. They're big time. They can eat breakers. They can eat bears. They can eat knights. They can eat MGs without their upgrade. They can eat A-bombs. They have the war drum upgrade. But they cost a lot. Big investment. A staple to every orc army. A staple. I'd say Kodos get a high B right below a grunt. Right there. Right about there. Meat wagons. Meat wagons. They are very interesting. They're the backbone to Necro Wagon, right? So you could totally turn the game around. They're pretty good. They're one of the better siege units besides like mortar teams. So they're better than ballistas. They're better than demolishers. Not used a ton though. So I'm going to rank them like right above ballista. You don't see Necro Wagon too often. You see it every once in a while. So right about there. Militia. Useless. Completely useless. And this list isn't biased at all, by the way. Unbiased. It doesn't get any more accurate than this list. Alright, for real. Militia. Let's talk about militia. Militia. Low health. They are basically a footman. So you turn a peasant into a footy. A little less health. They run pretty quick. They're not bad. And if you play them well, it is hard to infiltrate a human base with militia. So I'm going to be fair. I'll give them a low C. I was being a little facetious before putting them in D tier. But they're not great. They're good for dealing with some attacks. They definitely push people back. You have to rethink your attack when militia are called, and they're microed well. Mortar teams. Mortar teams are low-key good. Very good. Where are mortar teams used? Anytime there's casters present. Pretty much. Or dryads. So they're used in Night Elf matchups. They're used in some undead matchups when the banshees enter the field. They're used in human matchups. Sometimes. I'd say they're B tier. Mortar teams are B tier. And they're probably right above Hippo Riders. Right there. Mountain Giants. Now, they got nerfed recently. They got nerfed. They are rarely used anymore, so I'd say they're down to about here. C. They used to be around B or A. And with the nerf, they got brought down to low C. I can't put them above a Frostworm, though. So they're above Frostworm. Frostworms are pretty rough. Necromancers. Now, good in games against low-ranked players, sure. Cripple, rarely used, easily dispelled. Unholy Frenzy, not really used, easily dispelled. I'd say right above the MG, right below the siege units, you're going to find a Necromancer. Don't even need to talk about this ridiculous unit. The statue. Can't target it with spells. It outruns all your units. It's a mana fountain. It's a health fountain. It's one of the most ridiculous units in the game. It's so hard to deal with. You try to get some attack on it, and it just moves. It's got, I don't know if it's floating or if it has wheels or what, but whatever it is, it's like on octane nitro boosters. It feels like it, at least. That the statues are so fast they can't be stunned. They're crazy. And with the healing and mana output, S tier. It's not even close. Not even close. Peon. Peons can get into burrows. They're pretty good. They can't power build, though. So they might be worse than peasants. Because peasants can power build, that puts them above. But peons, I mean, you bring them in the battles for Spirit Link, maybe. You bring them along for some tower rushes, get some offensive value there, but outside of that, not feeling them. But are they worse than peasants? These could go either way, these two. It's like competing for last place. I'll put them there for now. I'll put them there for now. Yeah, that's true. Peasants can't be power building if they're dead. Which is how they spend 90% of their existence is dead. Priests. Very strong caster. Definitely in the A tier. I'd say probably better than the Banshee. Healing, Dispel, Inner Fire. Very strong caster. The healing capability of Priests can't be ignored. It's very strong. Dispel, very strong. Has a nice AoE range. Priests are very strong. Can't... As biased as I want to be, tell you that human units are terrible. Priests are good. They're good. Rifles. Rifles. Rifles are good. They're strong units, but they are hard to get early game. I'm gonna give him a high B. Maybe like right here. Inner fire rifles are extremely powerful. Long rifle upgrades really strong. I'd say right about there. That's where I'm feeling right now. They do deal with grunts really well. Like rifle caster against grunts. Slaughters them. So maybe like that. Shade. I mean, they're good, but they're not like that good. I'll put them like here. They provide no value outside of scouting, and there's so many ways to scout. You could just like right click somebody, but if someone just pops a reveal or dust, they're gone. You have to spend money on them with an acolyte. Not great. Shaman. Ooh, Shaman. Bloodlust, one of the best spells in the entire game. Purge, pretty good. Lightning Shield, very good. They're a good caster. You see them a lot in Orc matchups. Almost every Orc matchup, you're seeing Shaman. Could be an A tier caster, high B. Probably above a bear. I'd say above a bear. Shaman. They're strong. Bloodlust is really strong. Counterable, but strong. Tanks. Ooh, tanks. Now tanks are interesting. Very niche, right? Low skill ceiling, typically, but if you have good Zeppelin play and good timings, the community hates tanks, right? So you have to be careful ranking these high. But they are powerful. If you get a critical mass of tanks, and we saw, I believe, Johnny Cage pulled this out against X-Lord like a month or two ago during some championship, and he won the game with tanks. And they do have the anti-air with Barrage, yes. I'm going to rank a tank higher than a Bat Rider, but right below Dragonhawk. Right around there. Oh, yeah. You have to remember, OMG, this is not a biased tier list. These are the facts. These are the facts. There's no disputing. You can't find a more accurate tier list on all of Twitch. This is where you need to be. Right here. Non-biased. This is the truth. Sorceress. Sorceress. Pretty good caster. Slow's very powerful against orcs. Even undead if they're not going destroyers. You don't really see him too much in Night Elf with Dryads, but they are there to handle bears. So you're seeing him more and more nowadays. But, you know, the Dryads kind of counter the Sorks, but it does burn their mana, having to dispel all the slow. Sorcerers are good. Invis can save units. It's basically a non-tap Windwalk if you have the mana. Polymorph, not used too much. Can be dispelled in the late game. I'm going to give Sorks a high B. Maybe above a rifle. They kind of pair really well with rifles. Above a grunt, for sure. Yeah, now I'm feeling like bear should be moved down as this list gets completed. Spellbreakers. Now these, I would say, are close to S tier units. I'm going to be unbiased here. Spellbreakers are very strong. Spell immune. Able to completely negate a Tauren Chieftain, a Mountain King. If you get surrounds on heroes, the heroes are pretty much dead if they don't have a TP. They burn mana. They don't deal great damage, but the feedback does stack. If you have like 8 of them feedbacking something, it does shred them. So I'd say Spellbreakers are incredibly good units. They're almost gotten in every matchup. Almost. Yeah, and I didn't even mention Control Magic. Being able to take over summon units. Great in Night Elf matchups with Treants. Great in Undead matchups against Cryptlord. Great in human matchups, obviously Breaker Wars. And great in Orc matchups, taking control of the Feral Spirits. Now, where do they rank up in S tier? Maybe there. Maybe there. We'll see. As the list gets more completed, we'll see. These guys. What are these guys called? Spirit something. Is it Spirit Breaker? No, Spirit, How are these guys called? Spirit something. The Tauren dudes. Spirit Walkers. That's what it is. There you go. Thank you. So what do they got? They have Disenchant. It's basically the Priestess spell, but I think a little more expensive. Spirit Link. Very strong. Able to turn the tide of some orc battles. Bringing in your peons. Basically providing each peon extra health to the whole health pool of what your opponent has to take down. And then they can res Tauren. And they can go in ethereal form to prevent themselves from death if they're surrounded or anything like that. I'd say they're B tier. And I'm going to put them right here. Right above Akodo. Right above. I think that's where they need to be. The Tauren. Now, Tauren, they're not that great. They have Pulverize, but, you know, if you're up against Breakers and they get slowed, if they're being kited by Dryads, if they're getting destroyed by Destroyers, I'm going to say I want the A-bomb in front. Right about there. They're very strong. Like, if you are pulverizing an army that can't deal with it, very strong. Are we at Wisp now? I think we are. All right, Wisp. It's the best worker unit in the game. You get map hack. You're mining lumber from across the map. They might even be C tier, honestly. Detonate. They're such a versatile worker. They're fast. Yeah, I think they're C tier. Rapolo Militia. Prove me, change my mind. Witch Doctors. They give you map hack. They give you stasis trap. They give you healing wards. Not seen too much in solos. Favorable shaman casters instead of the Witch Doctors. And for that, I feel Witch Doctors are really like a C tier caster. And they're probably right below a Necro. Right about there. Right about there. Raiders. Now, Raiders, you can do your Raider laming, base laming. Ensnare chaining, very strong. But outside of that, you know, we're seeing a lot more Headhunter pushes nowadays. Raiders are really good for pushing in bases. Your opponents have to respect if you show up to your opponent's base with 8 Raiders, they have to respect that. They have to TP back, or you're just going to be able to cripple their whole town so quickly. I think Raiders are a B tier unit, and they're right above Grunt because of Ensnare. Wyverns. One of the more versatile air units. You can get them super early, but they're countered pretty easily. They're pretty weak. So they're one of the better air units. I would probably give them a low B or a high C. Because you can get them so early. They have the spears. You don't see them a ton, but they are there. All right. So this is the units. Let's see what we got right now for the units. These are the units. I mean, we have the obvious S tier units that we see in every matchup, every level. War 3 champions, you name it. Hey, Burrow Rush, thanks for the follow, buddy. Good to see you in here. I mean, the Crypt Fiend's the best unit in the game. Headhunter's second best unit in the game. The statue should probably be here. Destroyer maybe back here. Maybe Destroyer back here. The statue right behind that. Dryads. Wisp and Footies not S tier. Nope. In fact, Footies are so bad. An argument could be had that Peons rank higher than Footmen. An argument could be had. A tier. Dryad followed by Spellbreakers, followed by Destroyers. This feels good. Maybe Destroyer gets knocked down to A. Maybe we move this boy down a little bit here above a Banshee. That feels a little bit better. And this isn't terrible, right? You got one unit of each race on here. That's okay. In A tier, you got your Priest, one of the best casters in the game, if not the best. Destroyers, very powerful. Banshees, also very powerful. Gargs, capable of just completely catching you off guard and annihilating people. Berserkers, pretty good, but they kind of fall off in the late game. Shaman, very strong. In fact, I'm going to rank Shaman higher. And Bears, I feel like I'm going to drop Bears down to B. And then we got Bears, Rifle, Sorks. Feels right. Raiders, Grunts, Spirit Walkers, Kodos. Fairy Dragon, I feel like I got to knock them down a notch. Mortars. Hippogriff Riders. Archers, I think I gotta move them up. Druid of the Talon. These feel right for the heavy units. Alright, and then we get to the air boys. The Wyverns probably up there. Griffins are strong. Dragonhawks, eh. Tanks. Bat Riders, kind of like single-dimensional. Chimeras easily counterable. Ghouls, not very strong. Huntress, not very strong. Hippos, one-dimensional. Can be beat by Gargs. Meat Wagons have some utility outside of just pure siege damage. Ballistas, eh. Demolishers, not as good. Necro, not great. Witch Doctor, not great. Mountain Giants, not great. One-dimensional, too much investment for Frostworms. Militia, eh. Now, where would I put the gyros? The gyros would probably be around, like, A or B tier, if this was a gyro. Somewhere around here. And a Wisp. Wisp is by far the best worker unit. Detonate, remote mining, map hack. Acolytes are the stronger after that. Shades. I mean, they're whatever. Footies, complete trash. Waste of a unit. Peons are just... These two units are just XP tomes. That's all these two units are. And then Peons, probably one of the worst worker units in the game. Let's get this back on here. Now, that's our unit layout. I feel pretty good about this. I feel pretty good. I'm not having like a ton of regret about this. Let's save this because this is the units. All right, let me just take a screenshot before this gets lost. All right, so let's save this. Let's save this off real quick. Log in now to save your tier list. No. Alright, so let's just save this off right here. Let's go into Paint. So this is the units. Ghouls are definitely not S tier. No chance. Ghouls are I don't mind playing against ghouls. I don't. Unit tier list. Ghoul Frenzy, I mean, you could deal with it though. Collapse. Invuln Pot, Air. You could deal with it. I feel like there's a lot of options to deal with ghouls late game, and it's more niche. It's more niche. Alright, here we go. Now we're moving into the heroes. Now we're getting somewhere here. This is where the controversy is really going to begin. Alchemist. Alchemist. Alchemist, good for dealing with a Warden. Healing Spray is pretty strong. Chemical Rage, not bad. Acid Bomb, not bad. The ultimate, you get to turn units into gold. I've never really actually seen it in, like, pro play used. But I've seen the Alchemist used quite a bit. I'm going to say Alchemist is a B tier hero. Say Alchemist is a B tier hero. Archmage. Probably an S tier hero. It's used in almost every single human matchup. Very strong water elemental spell that does taper down at the late game, but Blizzard. A lot of people sleep on Blizzard. That spell is incredibly powerful. Brilliance Aura, one of the best auras in the game. Mass Teleport can totally turn games around. I think it's undeniable the Archmage is an S tier hero. Beastmaster. Very strong early game presence, definitely tapers off into the late game. His ultimate is CCable. All of his abilities are dispellable. I'd say Beastmaster is a C tier hero. Like, you could have a strong early game presence, but after that, if the early game has been won, it's hard to... the Beastmaster does not scale as well as like an Archmage or a Mountain King or a Torn Chieftain. How come Footmen are D tier? Because they are complete trash. Defend is terrible. Their attack is terrible. They have 400 hit points. They get annihilated by any early game unit. Defend is complete trash. You use it, and you just get kited into eternity. It's so bad. Orc still goes Headhunters. Night Elves still go Archers. And Undead still go Fiends against footies. And they know that they have Defend. That's how ineffective Defend is. Defend is supposed to be the ability that you get that can repel a piercing army. But every matchup that plays against footies uses piercing units. So how does that in what universe does that mean Defend is good? That's right, a true tilted, defeated human player, to be more specific. Now, Blade Master. Blade Master. Very strong hero. Very strong. You put the Blade Master in deadly hands like a hitman. You can see just how powerful a Blade Master can be. Windwalk, really strong early game. It falls off a little late game, but the critical strike scaling with Claws of Attack and other units, I'd say puts it very, very close to an S tier hero. We're talking low S tier. I'd say right about here. Very strong hero. BM needs no mana. You mean Blood Mage? Or Blade Master? FS would be S tier. Oh, we're getting there. Don't worry, we're gonna get to Farseer soon enough. Farseer, we already know where Farseer's going. But I'll leave it in suspense. Alright, Blood Mage. Now, Blood Mage, you know, was a niche hero, but now is actually more part of the rotation more than ever, I feel. You're seeing Blood Mage in Night Elf matchups. You're seeing Blood Mage in human matchups. You're seeing Blood Mage in a lot of matchups nowadays. More and more, the effectiveness of Siphon Mana and Flame Strike. Angry Korea Man has mastered the Blood Mage. Gets Blood Mage every single game, right? Tough to deal with. I'd say a Blood Mage is potentially an A tier hero. It's a very strong hero. It's not as strong as the Archmage, right? Like, the Archmage is definitively used way more than the Blood Mage. And the Blood Mage has Blizzard and a mana regen that's passive. So, I'm going to put him there. Tauren Chieftain. Oof. Tauren Chieftain. I am going to go A tier for Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain can be countered. Mass Breakers. You know, spell immunity. Tauren Chieftain can be kited. Tauren Chieftain is a very strong hero. Endurance Aura, incredibly strong War Stomp, one of the best spells in the game. And I'm going to rank him probably a little bit higher. One of the top tier A heroes. Tauren Chieftain. Can't do much to air, true. Maybe that knocks him down a notch or two. Maybe right behind the Blood Mage then. Put him there. Cryptlord. Now, a lot of players, including myself, had a lot of trouble with Cryptlord recently. In the last patch, right? Beetles, Impale. Impale is ridiculous. Cryptlord, very powerful early game hero. Starts to scale down slightly as Beetles become less and less effective, but Impale is still such a strong opener. Is so strong of an opener. N has very strong early game presence. So I want to say like top B, low A. I'm going to put in low A for now. But this may change. This may change. Dark Ranger. Oof, Dark Ranger. So Silence obviously is very strong. A huge mid-battle or closer. Preventing healing, preventing stuns. Dark Ranger, you're seeing a lot more undeads go Dark Ranger second, especially against Orc. With their Black Arrow or Dark Arrow. Able to summon so many skeletons, but definitely tapers down late game. I don't recall if you can Dispel Silence. I don't recall if you can or can't do that. If you can Dispel Silence, she's definitely low. But very strong mid-early game hero. With some clutch capabilities with Silence. Can be clutch. I'm going to put Dark Ranger right above the Alchemist for now. For now. Death Knight. That Death Coil. Death Coil has a range of about 8,000. About half a map length. So, if you're at the tavern in Amazonia, you could probably reach a fiend at your gold mine. That's about the range of Death Coil. Also, Unholy Aura lets you move at the speed cap. So, you have Unholy Aura, you can move faster than orcs with Speed Scroll. And you have Death Coils that can reach across the whole map. Almost exclusively trained first by all top-tier undead players, especially when they're going Fiend builds. It's a high A or a low S. Not quite sure where it fits. I'm gonna go S. Oh, this tier list thing is in the way. I wish this icon wasn't here. Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter. Oh boy, the Demon Hunter. What a nuisance the Demon Hunter is. Now, Mana Burn. Extremely powerful, especially in the early game. Immolation. Also powerful in the early game, dealing with destroying peasants, destroying peons, destroying early game units. Evasion. Stacks well into the late game. Metamorphosis. Can literally carry you to a victory. And yes, you can run away. But sometimes in certain stages of the game, you can't. Sometimes you can't. I would say Demon Hunter is a high A. I wouldn't say S. But high A. Maybe a little lower. Yeah. I feel that. Dreadlord. Now, Dreadlord's a little niche, right? You could do some cheeky sleep stuff. You could do Ghoul, Mass Ghoul Frenzy with Vampiric Aura. Dreadlord's good for Gargs. Dreadlord's good to deal with air. Sometimes. Infernal, extremely powerful. But really, I think Dreadlord's like a C tier hero. How does he stack up against the Beastmaster? I'd say he's better than the Beastmaster. I think Dreadlord's a C tier hero. Farseer. Now. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Farseer early game is incredibly powerful. Mid game, powerful. Late game, really not that powerful. Earthquake is okay, but it can be CC'd. Yes, all orc matchups, a lot are opening. But We have to rank on the whole spectrum here. The mid game, the late game, the early game, all of it. And Farseer doesn't scale as well into the late game as like an Archmage does. Or even a Blade Master. And the Blade Master is very effective early game too. I would say objectively, Blade Master is better than a Farseer. That's what I would say. Right. And a Blade Master is effective in the early game. Farseer has a very strong opener, especially with Headhunters. Yep. I would say A tier. I don't think Farseer deserves S. I don't think it deserves S. You can deal with it. Farseer Headhunters is... You can deal with it. Right? And Blade Master scales much better. And Blade Master, the reason I have him at S is Blade Storm is crazy, and Critical Strike, when you have certain items, is out of control. Out of control. Yeah, Big Brain Blade Master, that's right. The skill ceiling of Blade Master is high, I feel. Same with the skill ceiling of, like, Blood Mage. I think it's a tougher hero to deal with the Blood Mage than Archmage. Firelord. Oh, Firelord. Now, pretty much only used for all-in pushes. Does not scale well into the late game. Lava spawns are okay. But honestly, eh. I'd say it ranks slightly below a Beastmaster. Yeah. Not a strong hero. Keeper. Oh, the Keeper. Ah, the Keeper. The Destroyer of Footmen. And you want to know why Footmen are D tier. It's because of the Keeper. One of the reasons. Yeah, late game Keeper falls off big time. Everything he has is dispellable. Or CCable. Everything. Except Thorns. Thorns is almost never used. His ult is amazing and the cooldown is low. But Stormbolt, a War Stomp, an Ensnare, Impale. Useful out of battle too. Yeah. That's true too. That's very true. And maybe that is the better use case for it. I don't know what the cooldown is. I think it's like 40 or 60 seconds. It's like very short. But the rest of his spells, he tapers off hard in the late game. Real hard. And I feel like for that, he's got to get an A at the most. At the most. And he might even be below the Demon Hunter. And maybe even below the Blood Mage. And does he go below the Tauren Chieftain? Does he go below the Tauren Chieftain too? Does he fall below the Tauren Chieftain? I'd say he does. Lich. Oh, the Lich. Capable of deadly nukes. Frost armor. Paired with Orb of Corruption. Death and Decay, rarely used. But Nova, always paired with Death Coil. Really strong 1-2 wombo combo. Deadly in the hands of a good player. Yeah, I'd say A tier. Gotta make some adjustments there. Mountain King. Very strong. Scales well into the late game. Playable in the early game. Almost every matchup you're getting Mountain King. The only question is, do you go Thunderclap or Bash, right? That's really the only decision you got to make. Stormbolt, you're getting every single game. It's not even a question. You know, you're getting your claps against orcs, you're getting your bashes against humans, and maybe Night Elf. Or sometimes Night Elf, you just get Blood Mage if you're dealing with a Demon Hunter. I'd say MK is an A-tier hero above the Farseer. I feel good about that. Paladin. Paladin. Really strong third hero, sometimes even second hero. Holy Light's incredibly strong. Divine Shield keeps yourself protected. Devotion Aura, really good. The ultimate's like, it's alright. I'd say Pally fits in like a B tier. Maybe like below the Crypt Lord. Below the Dark Ranger, maybe. Right above the Alchemist. I feel good about that. Panda. The Panda. Really strong for mid-game pushes. Breath of Fire, really good for dealing with air. Drunken Haze. Very strong. Ultimate, incredibly strong. Very tanky. High B, low A. Yeah. I'd say rate above the Keeper. I'd say right about there. Pit Lord. Pit Lord, really good for pushing in Expos, really good for pushing in when you want to end. When you want to end a game. Howl of Terror, strong. Cleave, incredibly strong. Doom, incredibly strong. Doesn't really fall off, doesn't really taper off. Scales well. I'd say high B, low A. Priestess of the Moon. Not great. Support hero. Starfall, easily counterable. You're going C tier here. Probably below Firelord, honestly. Like, True Shot, sure. Searing Arrow's okay, but honestly, if you're Night Elf, I'm getting Keeper. I'm getting Panda. I'm getting Sea Witch. Owl Scout's nice. But there's other forms of scouting. You could scout with units. You could scout with reveal. When I'm looking for heroes, I'm looking for defensive, offensive abilities, not scouting. Naga Sea Witch. Forked Lightning, strong. Frost Arrow's very strong. Mana Shield, not too much. Not used too much. And then the Tornado, not too much. But Forked Lightning and Frost Arrow's really strong mid-game presence right there. I'd say Naga Sea Witch gets B. And probably rates below the Dark Ranger. Shadow Hunter. Heal Wave, very strong. Hex, incredibly strong Hex. Serpent Wards have their uses here and there. But between Heal and Hex, that's a deadly combo. Ultimate, not great. Can be CC'd. I'd say right... Huh. I'd say right about there. Right about there. I like the Lich better. I fear the Lich more. Tanker. Another kind of niche... niche-y boy. Good for pushing in bases. I'd say Tinker gets a C tier rating. Probably right about there. Warden. The last, but certainly not the least. The Warden. Oh boy, where does the Warden fit? You got your Fan of Knives. Destroys peasant lines. Shadow Strike. Can just evaporate ranged heroes like the Archmage. Level 6. Very strong. Blink, very strong. High skill ceiling. Reminds me of the Blade. Reminds me of the Blood Mage. It's those heroes that can really... I'd say like high A. Oh, sorry. Can't see it. Let me unzoom this here. Alright, here's the list. Fortunately, I have Tier Maker in the way here. Alright, let's get rid of that. Cool. Alright, here's the list. I feel good about this list.